morning and welcome to GBN Live. We want to thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group. They are covering Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. You can contact them at 843-492-5422 or email them at grandstrandlawgroup.com. Today, don't forget to get permission to Facebook so we can view your comments. It's streamyard.com/Facebook. You'll need to register on that if you are wanting to ask questions. And if you have any questions for GBN or today's guest, please type them in your comments and we will do our best to get them answered here on GBN Live. Today's guest is David Curtis, Callie Wise Insurance. He's got P&C Insurance Agent in the Grand Strand North Chapter. Welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. GBN Live is next. Sorry.
It's all right.
Welcome back. And I have to make a correction. It's Callie Wise State Farm Insurance, not Law Group. So my apologies. But David Curtis, welcome.
Yeah,
we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, where you're from.
Yep. Originally, I'm from Michigan. I moved down here from Stevensville, Michigan, a little small town in Michigan. I graduated from Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Go Broncos. But moved down here. It was waiting tables actually down here every summer during college, and fell in love with the area. And when I graduated college, this was the only place I wanted to move to. So moved down here and started in timeshare. So started working for Blue Green Resorts. I was HR manager for their marketing department, and worked with another private company for a while. And then 2014, I started with Callie Wise. Nice.
Well, tell us a little bit about Callie Wise and why you chose them.
Sure. Yeah. I interviewed with Callie in 2014. It's a brand new agency, so she was just getting ready to open up January 1 of 2015. I just fell in love with the idea of being an insurance agent, really feeling like there was something I could give back to the community, and that was something that she had promoted right off from day one. We live here, we work here, we give here as one of our mottos. So in 2015-14 of October, I was hired and been there ever since. We grew our agency from 4 to right now we have 9 agents working at the office, so we've grown it over the last 9 years pretty well. So in fact, last year, for most of the year, we were #1 in our territory for sales, and we were just outside the top 100 for auto sales in the country. So we've been really successful.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you specialize in the property and casualty primarily. Yep. So what made you choose that over some of the other types of insurance? And
well, you know, in all honesty, I mean, I do it all, but I think property casualty, helping somebody out with something they need, everybody's got to have it. And what I ran into was people didn't know what they had. They didn't understand the coverage limits. Yeah. They didn't know if they had enough, and what I found was they didn't. Most people I talked to, they don't have enough coverage, especially for our area, for the South Carolina market, the coastal area markets. They're not carrying enough. But it's nice to be able to help somebody, to be able to educate them, go through their policies with them, explain what kind of coverage limits they have in layman's terms as best as I can, and then explain and recommend coverages that they need. I just like helping people, I guess. So.
Nice.
Yeah. But, you know, I do it all. I do life, I do health as well, but property casualty just seems to be something that everybody needs and nobody knows enough about. So.
Well, and if you get especially because I do mortgages, if you get a homeowner who's underinsured and you have like a flood or a hurricane or anything, you know, or you just haven't been keeping up with your policy, your house burns down, now it takes twice as much to do it, then yeah, I mean, if you've got somebody like you to, you know, keep up with them and watch after, that's priceless.
Yeah, and I find that through the mortgage process, people will pick up the insurance with least resistance. They just want to get through that mortgage process, so they'll pick up a policy and they don't know what they have. And I mean, when I got my license in P&C, the very first thing I did was run home and grab my own policy and open it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't Greek anymore. I get it. Like, this is what this means. This is what this means.
Right.
And I realized, I even then I didn't have enough coverage. It's great to be able to review that and really explain it to people.
I bet you do now, though.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
So what qualifies somebody for a bundled rate, for adding,
Yeah.
what is the purpose and what is the point in that?
Sure. We always recommend bundling. Obviously, that's the best way to get the most bang for your buck, especially in this coastal area. So our policies, we offer between 17, 22, 5. There's a lot of different discounts for bundling, but home auto is the biggest one. Home auto and really umbrella. I think umbrella, the liability umbrella policy is really an underserved policy in our area. I feel like more people need umbrella policies, those $1 million excess coverage policies, because people are driving and have their homes with less liability coverage than they should have. But I digress. 22% discount for home, umbrella, and car on the car insurance part of it, and 17 if they have the home with the car. So those are big discounts to offer. So I can typically show a client a much better rate when we can bundle it all together and keep it together. But we do offer it for health as well, and life, 5% discounts for those. But the major ones are bundling and multi-car too. Yep.
Well, especially for me, like when I have 5 kids.
Oh yeah.
And when they were all young and driving at the same time, it was like, dear Lord.
Right.
So the multi-discount was great.
Yep. And then we also have tailored discounts for youthful drivers, and that is something that in our country in general, youthful drivers, their rates have just gone up and up and up. There's more distracted driving now than ever before. Texting, yep. So people are getting into accidents more at that youthful range. So we have 3 discounts that we really promote. Driver training discount, going to get your driver training course and bringing that certificate in. State of South Carolina, that's optional to have the driver training, so it's really important though to go do that. So driver training course. The good student discount for having a B or better average, so we give a little discount for that. And then a steer clear discount. So State Farm created a program that helps on that distracted driving front. That it's a self-driven course where they document drives, and it makes them aware of what's going on when they're in the car. So of course they document it after they're parked, but they document those drives and it gives them a little discount. So those are the 3 main ones we focus with on youthful drivers. But the multi-line and multi-car also come into play too.
Nice. So what is one of the most important things to cover, like on my home policy?
Yeah. I go back to the umbrella, but really with the home policy, I would always recommend flood on homes around here. Most home policies are standard issue. They're going to come with your dwelling, they're going to come with your personal property, they're going to come with liability, they're going to come with hazard for fire, vandalism, all other perils they call it, and then of course your wind and hail down here. So most homeowners policies are going to come with those standard issued things. I would recommend an optional flood policy, even if you're not in a non-flood zone or what we call a preferred risk zone. I would recommend a flood. At least get a quote, get a number. My big motto is, without the numbers, you don't know anything, I've had people come in my office and say, I don't need flood. And I say, well, do you know how much it's going to cost? And they say, well, no. I said, how about if I tell you it costs $300? Would you do it then? They go, yeah, if it's $300, but it's not going to be. I go, well, I don't know if it is going to be, but let me put together the quote, let me give you the number, and let you figure it out. Make an informed decision with the right numbers. And now the way FEMA has changed their rating systems down here as of October of 2021, it can be widely different. You can be in a preferred risk zone and pay $1,000 a year down to $300. I mean, it's such a wide range now based on location of a water source. So I think flood would be a really great optional tool, but just make sure you have good enough dwelling coverage. I mean, in our day and age, I guess, going back to the homeowners, with inflation the way it is, you need to review your homeowner's policy.
Yeah.
If your company doesn't have inflation built into the policy, then you could have a home that's well undervalued for what the construction materials is going to cost to rebuild it now. So,
Yeah.
but a good review on your homeowner's policy is really, I tell my clients, 3 to 5 years, at the max 5 years, should be coming in, talking with me, sitting down, let's do a review and make sure your dwelling coverage matches what it really is. So,
Or if like you see that the house prices have gone up,
yeah.
lumber's gone up,
Yeah.
anything else, you need to kind of, well, it's only been a couple of years, but I think
Yeah.
I need to go. Kind of goes to that information is key.
I've seen higher inflation this year, this one single year, than I've ever seen in
Right.
the 8 years that I've worked with 9 years I've worked with State Farm, and it has affected the dwelling costs. So,
Absolutely.
right.
Okay, so continuing with that, what's the most important thing I need to know on an auto policy?
Your liability limits. You really need to know what kind of liability you have. I had a customer come in from a different state, moving her autos down, and she had state limit, 25, 50, 25. So I always encourage my clients and I ask them, what is your net worth? And I always say, you don't have to tell me. I'm not asking that. I want you to write that number down somewhere while we're going through this review. And what I find in her case, she had over $1 million net worth and she had 25, 50, 25. She had a carrier for 30 years. They never questioned it. They never asked. She never asked, and they just rolled along. So by the time I was done with that conversation, we had set her up with $250,500 for liability, $1 million umbrella to cover that asset, because she had a ton in retirement. She worked for the state for 30 years and had more than $1 million in her 401k. It's just, you really need to know what your liability limits are. If you have a higher net worth, you should not be driving around with state limit. You should have, the 250 with the umbrella on it, 250,000 with the umbrella on it. But I think that's everybody knows comp and collision for what we call full coverage, comp and collision, but liability is just that people aren't doing enough reviews with their agents on liability. So
Kind of goes to the agent too.
Yeah,
Where it
it
sounds
does.
like you kind of keep up with everybody and say, hey, it's
Yeah.
time to review.
it's not a 1-800 number. I like being at the local level where people can walk in my office, and I do have annual reviews with the clients that I feel like need it. Business clients, people that have changing assets all the time. You do want to review these with your insurance agents. And exposures, you talk about children, as your children are coming on to driving age, you want to meet with your agent and find out what you need.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to cost more, no doubt, but a child also has a much more chance of getting into an accident, and that reflects on you. You as a parent could get sued. I mean, I tell my clients every day we wake up and we drink coffee with George Sink, Axelrod, and Akimastapulo. And it's these personal injury lawyers out there. You just got to be aware of South Carolina and the way the laws are, because they're a lot different than any other state.
Yeah.
So,
Well, after the break, we'll come back, speak with you a little bit more.
Okay.
But for now, we're going to take a little break, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
great.
Hi, I'm Jess the Sand. I've been a canine liaison at Grand Strand Law Group for, 30 years? What's that? You don't believe me? I meant 30 dog years, of course. First rule of lawyering, read the fine print. Anywho, my humans at Grand Strand Law Group have a combined 20 years experience. I know, not as much as me, but that's in people years. So yeah, still pretty impressive. Real estate, estate planning, or probate, you need GSLG.
Grand Strand Law Group. Trust us, we have a dog.
Great Business Networking grew out of the idea that by creating lasting friendships within the community, we can make the community even better.
I was looking to network with professionals and to be able to refer my clients to somebody that I trust.
Well, it's really important to trust the members of the group because we really generate quality referrals, and to know somebody, be friends with them, and get that qualified referral is the key to success.
It is networking, but it doesn't feel like networking, and that is important to me. I come to the meetings, I have fun, I make great connections, and I help grow my business.
GBN, these are some of the best professionals in the market, and having that resource available to me, that's priceless.
Well, GBN is a network of business professionals that build long-lasting friendships that will not only grow my business, will grow yours as well. That's what referral marketing is all about.
GBN really is the most important marketing for your business. Check us out today.
Welcome back. David Curtis with P&C Insurance Agent with the Callie Wise State Farm Agency. Welcome back. Can you go into a little bit about how a premium is calculated? You went into the numbers and stuff like that, but how is an actual premium calculated?
There's a lot of factors that go into premium calculations. It's not as simple as on the homeowner side, the dwelling cost and personal property, and the auto side, what kind of liability you have. There's over 60 different factors. It's called a CRI score. So what I try to educate my clients about is we all have a CRI score. It's just like an insurance score. Or like a credit score. It goes with you throughout your life. So every claim you have from when you get your driver's license at first to today, it all has an effect on that CRI score. And that CRI score does get better over time, but people will say when they file a claim for a comprehensive, which would be a not fault, or an uninsured, which would be a not fault, those numbers still go into that CRI score. So that's how we calculate premium. And one of the factors that's the most is credit. Credit is a big factor in insurance premiums. So you do want to keep your credit score high if you want to keep your credits or your insurance scores or insurance premiums low. But the CRI score is a factor. But then we look at the vehicle. If it's an auto policy, we look at the safety features of that vehicle. How often is it stolen in the United States or in a particular area? How much is it into an accident? So sometimes more popular vehicles can have a higher level, so the vehicle. And then the area you live in. People can move from Myrtle to Conway, Conway to Myrtle, different areas, and it can affect your rates, just the different neighborhoods you live in. So I get a lot of clients of mine that'll come in and say, I was comparing this with my neighbor, and my neighbor's paying this, why am I paying this? That's too complicated. There's too much that goes into it. Credit, where they live, the vehicle, then the coverages. There's just too much. But basically, that's how we figure it out. It's a complicated thing. So we just plug it in the computer and it kind of spits out a number. But those are some of the factors.
Yeah, definitely state to state.
Yeah,
those are huge.
Yep. But even area of the Horry County, there's a big difference home-wise from Gallivan's Ferry to Myrtle Beach and east of 17, So with the wind and hail, it's a totally different game. You can see, 100 or 200% difference between Gallivan's Ferry and the Myrtle Beach area. So there's a lot that goes into factoring rates.
Yeah. So what would a business owner need to know if their employees are driving their own cars within their business? And
they want a non-owned auto policy. These policies are very affordable, but it allows the employees to operate their own vehicles throughout the course of the day. And then if they have any vehicles that are in the business name, they want to get those listed with those employees listed on those vehicles. But the non-owned auto policy is good if their employees are using their vehicles throughout the day and in the course of business. They definitely want a non-owned auto policy.
Okay. So what is a rough cost to have a rider for a business owner that covers a business when an employee drives their own vehicle?
Well, that's the thing. It's not that much, but it is based on how many employees they have and how often they're using their vehicles during the course of a work week. But I mean, I just looked up one before I came here. It was $20. So,
wow. Okay, so not
every 6
much.
months. Yeah, it's very affordable. Again, it really depends, and it depends on the usage. Are they using it for delivery purposes? So there is some factors that go into it, but it's really not that expensive. So I would encourage any business owner just to reach out to their insurance professional and just make sure that they have that non-owned auto on there. So it's a totally separate policy. Typically.
Does it matter the person's driving record, or is it just for?
No, usually it's just a blanket policy, so they don't usually look at auto record. Now, when you get into specifying and putting them on a particular policy, they'll look at driving record, but not on the non-owned, no.
All right, so what that means is we're going to ask you some unusual, just quick questions that catch you off guard.
Oh, great. Awesome.
What was your first job?
Oh, my first job, I was scrubbing floors in a bakery when I was about 10 or 11. Like, I was really young.
You're not supposed to say that age. That's
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding.
I was really young. I took my bike over there and just scrubbed bakery floors. But I would say waiting tables was my first real job. Like, I waited tables here at the Olive Garden in Myrtle Beach back in '95, and then I waited tables at Thoroughbreds and Outback and Carrabba's. So I did a lot of waiting tables through college because it was an easy way to do it. Yeah.
And you have flexible schedules for
right.
You know, after hours and fun time. Are you a night owl or an early bird?
I would say an early bird now. So definitely.
Has it changed?
Now. Yeah, it has changed. Yep.
With kids?
Yeah, no kids, but yeah, it has changed.
Cat or dog person?
Dog.
Dark or milk chocolate?
Dark.
Favorite color?
Oh, geez, blue. I would say blue.
Okay. Do you have a favorite word or phrase?
Lately, I've been saying right way too much, so I don't know. Maybe right, but no, I don't know really.
With my kids, it was. So how's that working for you?
Yeah, right.
Favorite movie?
Oh, geez. So many great movies out there. That's a tough one. I have to say I'm a really big geek, so I like the whole Lord of the Rings thing. So probably Lord of the Rings, like all of them wrapped up into one.
I've never seen one.
Oh my gosh, you're missing out. It's an epic. I don't know. There's so many great movies. I mean, I've got my degree in theater, so I studied a lot of movies when I was in high school, or in college. So I picked Lord of the Rings, but it's just because I'm blanking. There's so many great ones out there. Usual Suspects is a great one, So I don't know. There's so many good ones.
Favorite song?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I really don't. I'm trying to think of one. I've been really into a band called Postmodern Jukebox. They take new classics and put them into like a classical form, with a cello, and I can't think of anything right offhand.
Okay. Do you have a favorite vacation spot?
Yeah, I would say up in the mountains. Asheville is one of my favorites. I love going up to Asheville. It's just a nice place to get away. You say Asheville, I would say.
Okay. And do you have a favorite mobile app?
Favorite mobile app? CamScan, I would say, is one. It's a scanner that takes a document, a picture, and makes it a PDF. Okay. I use it a lot because in my industry, people will send me pictures of paperwork signed or deck pages or whatever, and I like to be able to convert that to a PDF. It cleans it up. It straightens it out. It's like magic, really.
Yes,
it's pretty amazing.
Scanning thing.
Yeah,
and I get all my clients to.
Yeah,
it really helps.
CamScan is just it's versatile. It's really a great app to have. Sure.
GBN app isn't all bad either.
No, GBN's not bad either. GBN's not bad either. No, I do use that one a lot. That was one. Whenever I look up my recently used, it's up there at the top.
I'm teasing you. So, can you run a driver's license record when you are
For an employer, like, yeah, if somebody wants to add an employee onto their business policies, if they've got vehicles that they want them insured on, I would encourage that to look at their driving record and see what they're going to be, because sometimes you can find some skeletons. So yeah, we have a way of running that.
Nobody has skeletons these
No,
days.
nobody. Everybody tells the truth.
Should somebody buy the rental policy when you're renting a house?
Yeah.
And I have a question in that I know that we find in the mortgage industry that if you've had rental insurance, when you go to buy a home, it actually makes your policy a little less because you've had. Is that accurate
I mean,
for
it
you
can,
guys?
yeah. We do look at, and I think that's all part of that CRI score. It does look at how many policies you've had over time and longevity of those policies. So yeah, that probably does have a factor in it. When you're talking rental, so there's having renter's insurance, so you're renting from a landlord. I think that's super important to have. A lot of people overlook that.
Right.
I have people that'll say, nah, I don't have much stuff, but they overlook the loss of use portion of that. And that would be if something were to happen to that rental unit, like a fire, and I've watched the news, you've seen several fires around this area recently.
Yeah.
Those people are displaced, and if they didn't have a renter's policy, they're paying for their rent at their new place on their own. This renter's policy provides some loss of use coverage, so it'll pay some rents, loss of rents. So yes, I encourage that, and then I also encourage on the other side, if you're a landlord, make sure you have, of course, a rental dwelling policy or a rental condo policy to cover, those people that are renting from you. So.
Well, especially if you've got a mortgage on it, you have to carry that.
Yeah. No, yeah. But I've had people with condo policies that didn't have mortgages that were, I don't need it. The HOA covers the building, and I always stress to them, there's so much the HOA can deny when it comes to claims. I've seen it, water damage claims where the HOA said it wasn't their fault, so they just denied the claim. If you didn't have an HO6 or a rental condo policy, then there would be no coverage on the inside for it. So I always encourage that, and it's just not that much. It's amazing how much coverage you can get on a rental condo or a HO6 condo policy. It's just not much. It's definitely worth it. So.
Right. Where I came from, it was a big college town. And there was an incident where the kids were up on the roof tearing off shingles, lighting them on fire, and using as frisbees. So you never know.
Yeah, you
I mean,
don't.
things that you would never even think to do.
Yeah.
People are doing.
Yeah. It is really insane. I've heard some horror stories, really.
It's kind of one of those, nothing surprises me anymore.
No, nothing surprises me anymore.
So what are some of the biggest changes you've seen since you got into the industry?
The ratings on coastal areas, I would say, and going back to inflation, over the last year, the inflation on building materials has just been so incredible that I've seen such a change in ratings. But yeah, this coastal area, though, has really, everything's changing in this coastal area, especially with the brokers that are out there. I think one thing I'll tell my clients is we're a captive agent, so we only write for State Farm. There's maybe one exception or two exceptions, flood being one of them, but for the most part we just write for State Farm. So the brokers out there have been having a trouble trying to get carriers down here in these coastal areas. I just had a meeting where I understand that the reassurance of some of these coastal companies have gone up 50% on their premium. Reassurance basically is insuring these coastal companies if they go out of business, and that insurance for the insurance carriers has gone up 50%. So rates have just been, people are calling me saying my insurance has gone up 80%, 70%.
Wow.
It's just some crazy skyrocketing numbers, and it's just because there's a smaller pool of surplus lines companies dealing with these coastal areas, these coastal risks, which are really high risk. But I guess that's the most that I've seen in my time over the last 9 years.
So can anybody else write State Farm policies through them? So you guys are exclusive.
Yep, and we're about the only ones out there. There really aren't too many right now that are captive. I think Allstate's still partially captive, but really State Farm's about the only one out there right now that's just a true captive agent. You know, we only write for State Farm. We really just don't have any other products to offer. And it's great, and it can be a detriment. I have given quotes to people, and they said, oh, I talked to broker A, and they told me it was going to be cheaper because they shot me through 5 different companies. But most of the time, I found with our conservativeness in our company that our rates are great. I mean, we're really doing well on rates. So,
Well, we want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
If you want to get in touch with David, calliewise.com or 843-340-5725. Now, is that your direct number or is that an office?
That's
and we
my
asked
cell
for you?
phone number, but
Oh, okay.
I'll give you my office number too. It's 843-272-9990.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, before we go, can you tell us why referral marketing is so good for you and what made you choose GBN?
Referral marketing's been amazing. It's the only way to quantitatively determine whether marketing is really working. Like billboards, advertisements out there, you can't see the dollar ratio to what you're getting. And with GBN, you know right away when you get that referral that it's going to be a strong referral and that you're going to earn that business. You don't have to fight for it. It's easy. But yeah, it's been great for my business. I can't speak to it enough, and I've gotten so many people involved with GBN just because of the way it's really done.
What works
with
on
me.
trust.
Yeah,
We trust you to
right.
give, to give our referrals
Right.
your best effort, and you trust that we're not going to send anybody to you that we don't, do business with ourselves or trust or, a close family or friend.
Yeah. It's really has been amazing. I can't speak to it enough. I try to tell everybody they should at least give it a shot because I think it's really important to, and we're just a family. I mean, the Grand Strand North chapter is just like a family. I've been going there forever now. It's just so nice. So
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And remember, if it's Wednesday, it's GBN Live. See you next week.
Thank you.